What is up, guys? So this is going to be my review for The Flash, Season 4, Episode 12, titled, Honey, I Shrunk Team Flash. And before I get into the review, it's really funny how whenever the arrowverse does something with shrinking, like some big achievement with shrinking, like back when they made Adam go huge, Ant-Man did it a week later in Civil War, and now they did this thing where they were in this episode, they shrunk a building, and then, like, the same day or a day earlier, Ant-Man releases a trailer where they do the same exact thing. It's pretty insane that this happens a lot. But with that in mind, I just wanted to say that. It's not a part of the review, I just wanted to mention that. But let's get into the review. Okay, here we go. So going off the synopsis and the trailer, I didn't expect much from this episode. I expected that the main storyline with the shrinking guy will be another villain of the week, and the thing with Cecile will be really weird, and I didn't really know what to expect from that. But the thing I was excited to see was the thing at the end where it says Barry meets somebody with a mysterious connection to Henry Allen. What do you know? It didn't happen in the episode at all. The synopsis completely lied. That was the thing I was excited to see. I was wondering, is it the girl who we've been seeing for a while now? Is it Cobalt Blue? Is it somebody in prison? We don't know. And it didn't happen. I don't know why the synopsis just completely lied to us. Now that I got that out of the way, that is probably the only bad thing about this episode, because God, this episode surprised me. I did not expect much. Like I said, I expected it to be just another throwaway villain of the week episode with a weird plot, with a weird subplot, and the thing that I was excited for. But other than that, other than the thing that I was excited for not actually happening, this episode surprised the hell out of me. The main storyline with the main villain, the villain of the week, Dwarf Star, was actually really interesting and entertaining. Like, the Shrunk, Cisco, and Ralph was entertaining and not overused. Like, we saw it, we didn't see it, like, it was a main focus of the episode, but they didn't show it too much to a point that it got annoying and tedious. It was entertaining. Although they never actually explained why Ralph couldn't just stretch back to normal, they addressed it because Caitlin said, "Kate, you just stretched back to normal," and Ralph tried, but they never explained why he couldn't. He had a backache or something. But they did explain, I guess, why they couldn't get in touch with Adam, saying that they couldn't get in touch with the Atom. It's fine. But Dwarf Star himself was actually a pretty interesting villain of the week. I'm going to say he was one of the best villains of the weeks from this season, just because his powers were really interesting. Like, he was able to shoot a ray of light and shrink things with that beam. It's really interesting, and it's kind of weird that the Ant-Man trailer came out at the same time as this. Like I said earlier, it's insane to me that happened. Like, they both shrunk buildings. That literally happened back to back on the Flash and the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. It's insane to me. But I thought Dwarf Star was actually a pretty cool villain, and I also like his name. I think his name is pretty inspired. I'm pretty sure he's an original DC villain. I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't think he was in the comics, but at the same time, he could have been. Maybe he's an Atom villain. I'm not 100% sure. I could just do a quick Google search, which I actually will do after I finish recording this, and let you guys know if I'm right. I just looked it up, and actually, no, he isn't an original villain. There is a villain in the comics called Dwarf Star. He has the same name as him, Silbert Rundine. So yeah, he's not an original villain, but that's fine. Obviously, that's not a bad thing or anything. That's actually pretty cool. Now, the best thing about this villain of the week plot is the connection to the Big Sur plot. That makes makes the stakes higher. It makes it more. It just makes it more and better than just another villain of the week plot, because it's connected to the Big Sur plot. Which, by the way, the Big Sur plot of this episode was pretty great. Trying to unframe him from, he was framed for murder or whatever. He wasn't framed, he was just wrongly convicted of murder 15 years ago, and the whole plot of Barry giving him false hope was pretty awesome, honestly. I really liked it, and it ended with Barry running Big Sur to that monastery with the monks and whatever, and that was an awesome scene. It was such an awesome scene. Just Barry running Big Sur, it was such a happy moment for him that I just couldn't help but just have a huge smile on my face seeing that scene. I loved it. Like I said earlier in this video, in my trailer breakdown and my synopsis breakdown, the thing that I was kind of weirded out by was the Cecile subplot in the synopsis and in the trailer. I was like, what is going on? She somehow gets powers because of her pregnancy, which hasn't been explained yet. Hopefully it will be explained soon, but it hasn't been yet. But I was weirded out. I was like, how is this? What is going on? This is so weird. But it turns out that it was actually done pretty well. Like, the way they did it in this episode was just like Cisco and Ralph being shrunk. Is that even a word? Whatever. So, her being pregnant, getting powers because of the pregnancy, just like Cisco and Ralph, was entertaining and not overused. It was entertaining to a point that it was just right on entertainment, and it didn't get tedious or annoying because of overusing it. It was just right. It was a subplot, which I feel like it belongs as a subplot, but it was definitely an entertaining subplot, and I liked it. I actually liked it. There's not much of this episode that I didn't like. This episode continued the storyline of the trial of the Flash, or better yet, Barry in prison, and the whole him with Big Sur thing, which I already talked about. But him being in prison, we saw more of that in this episode. We saw a lot more in this episode than I think we did last episode. We saw how he lives in here, and it's pretty awesome. Like, we see him playing cards with the mayor who tried to kill him and Joe earlier this year, and also playing cards with that guy that tried to rob him twice, and then he put him away because he was the Flash twice. The second time with Ralph Dibny, and also playing with Big Sur. It's just really entertaining seeing him. It's funny also. It's really funny with that whole thing, and how he cheats in poker. It's pretty funny, and I like this whole storyline. I think it's almost over, actually, considering how the storyline took a huge turn right after the scene where he ran Big Sur to that monastery, because he was caught on camera running with his super speed, and I did not see that coming in the slightest. That was a cool twist. Warden Wolf comes out of nowhere and says, "I know you're the Flash." That was a crazy twist I did not see coming. And another thing I did not see coming is this is probably the way he gets out of prison. This is the chain of events that leads him to either getting released from prison, or maybe just escaping and becoming a fugitive, because he couldn't do anything against it. He could do that right now. He could run away and become a fugitive if he wants to, but at this point, if he gets put with Ambient Black's metahuman thingy-mabobble, he'll already be out of prison, and he'll already be a fugitive. So there's nothing he could do about that, which is why I'm guessing that this is what will lead to him getting out of prison one way or another. But I do like this. I was not that excited for the next episode either because of Ambient Black, and I think she's not really the greatest villain. But with this twist of Barry Allen being outed as a Flash to Warden Wolf and being sold to Ambient Black, makes me so much more excited for the next episode than I would ever have been without this twist. It's a great twist, and the episode is better for it. In general, I actually loved this episode. There wasn't much I didn't like. Again, the only thing I didn't like about the episode isn't actually because of the episode, but more because of the synopsis completely lying to me, saying that Barry meets a character with a mysterious connection to Henry Allen. I was completely lied to. That was like the big selling point for this episode for me. I speculated about it a lot, saying if it's the girl that we've been seeing, or is it Co-op Blue, or is it another guy in prison, or is it somebody else? I really had no clue. I was speculating, and that was why it's such a big selling point for me in this episode. And then the fact that it wasn't there at all kind of bummed me out. But again, that's the only thing I didn't like from this episode. Everything else was really, really great. The Cisco and Ralph being shrunk thing was entertaining and not overused. Same thing with Cecile, and the main villain villain of the week, Dwarf Star storyline, being connected to the Big Sur plot was pretty awesome. Also, I thought it was, like I said earlier, probably the best villain of the week this season, and his powers are really interesting. But what makes it so great is the connection to the Big Sur plot, and just seeing Big Sur going to that monastery and having that happy moment was awesome. So I'll give this episode a 9.3 out of 10. I loved this episode so much. But let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments down below, and also in the poll in the top right corner of the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.